Did you know that wetlands are nature's unsung heroes when it comes to flood control? These ecosystems, often overlooked, play a crucial role in regulating water levels and preventing disasters. Imagine a world without wetlands. Floods would ravage communities, wildlife would struggle, and ecosystems would collapse. Wetlands are more than just waterlogged land, they're dynamic environments that protect both people and animals. But what exactly makes wetlands so powerful in controlling floods? Let's take a journey into the heart of wetlands to understand their immense value. First, wetlands act as natural sponges, absorbing excess water during heavy rains. They store it in their soil and vegetation, preventing floods from overwhelming surrounding areas. This ability to trap and hold water helps maintain balance during periods of intense rainfall. When rivers overflow or storms rage, wetlands become the first line of defense. Instead of letting water flood nearby towns, wetlands slow down the flow and release it gradually. Think of wetlands as nature's safety net, absorbing what would otherwise be devastating floods. But that's not all. They also filter water, improving water quality before it reaches larger bodies. Wetlands serve as a vital habitat for countless species, including endangered birds, fish, and amphibians. In fact, about one-third of the world's threatened species rely on wetlands for survival. Without these ecosystems, entire populations of wildlife could be wiped out in a matter of years. Wetlands provide a place for animals to feed, breed, and find shelter from predators. Their unique vegetation offers food sources for numerous species, contributing to a diverse food web. But wetlands aren't just crucial for wildlife, they also support human communities. Many indigenous peoples around the world rely on wetlands for their livelihoods and cultural practices. They hunt, fish, and gather resources from these ecosystems that are vital to their survival. In urban areas, wetlands reduce the risk of flooding by absorbing runoff from cities and farms. Without wetlands, cities would experience higher flood risks, especially during heavy rains or storms. They help buffer the impacts of rising sea levels, acting as natural barriers against coastal erosion. Wetlands offer a cost-effective alternative to expensive flood control infrastructure like dams or levees. By protecting and restoring wetlands, we can reduce the need for costly flood prevention measures. These ecosystems also sequester carbon, helping to mitigate the effects of climate change. Wetlands are carbon sinks, capturing and storing carbon dioxide that would otherwise contribute to global warming. The benefits of wetlands are clear, yet they're rapidly disappearing from our planet. Urbanization, industrial development, and agriculture continue to drain and degrade wetlands worldwide. In fact, over half of the world's wetlands have been lost in the past century. Once drained, wetlands lose their ability to control floods, filter water, and support wildlife. This degradation puts entire ecosystems at risk, and the effects are felt far beyond the wetlands themselves. In some regions, flooding has become more frequent and severe due to wetland loss. Climate change is also intensifying rainfall patterns, making wetland preservation even more urgent. As sea levels rise, coastal wetlands are increasingly threatened by both human activity and natural forces. It's clear that we must take action to protect and restore wetlands for the sake of our future. But what steps can we take to ensure the survival of these vital ecosystems? One solution is to create wetland conservation programs that prioritize both preservation and restoration. Governments, communities, and organizations must work together to implement policies that protect wetlands. We also need to raise awareness about the importance of wetlands and their role in flood control. By educating the public, we can inspire more people to advocate for wetland preservation. Wetlands restoration projects can help revitalize damaged areas and bring back the benefits they once provided. In some regions, such as the Everglades in Florida, significant efforts have been made to restore wetlands. These projects involve planting native vegetation, restoring natural hydrology, and removing invasive species. Wetland restoration not only helps protect wildlife, but also improves water quality and reduces flood risk. By restoring wetlands, we can also create new opportunities for ecotourism and recreation. Many wetlands are already popular destinations for birdwatchers, photographers, and nature enthusiasts. Investing in wetland restoration is an investment in a sustainable future for both people and wildlife. It's not just about preventing floods, it's about preserving biodiversity and improving quality of life. Wetlands have been around for millions of years, but their future depends on our actions today. Wetlands are often seen as wild, untamed places, but in reality, they're carefully balanced ecosystems. Their intricate web of plants, animals, and water systems works in harmony to protect the environment. In a rapidly changing world, these ecosystems have become more vital than ever before. From regulating water flow to maintaining biodiversity, wetlands are indispensable for sustaining life on Earth. However, wetland loss doesn't just affect the environment, it has tangible consequences for human communities. In cities and towns near wetlands, flood risks have increased as these areas have been drained or developed. Historically, wetlands were seen as wasteful, swampy areas unsuitable for human habitation. This perception led to their widespread draining for agriculture, urban development, and industrial use. Yet, recent research shows that the destruction of wetlands may have been one of our biggest environmental mistakes. Wetlands act as natural sponges, soaking up rainwater, which can mitigate the risk of flooding downstream. Without wetlands, rainwater flows directly into rivers and streams, causing a rapid rise in water levels. These sudden increases in water flow contribute to flash floods, which can be devastating to communities. In flood-prone areas, wetlands act as buffers, slowing the speed at which water reaches towns and cities. By absorbing excess water, wetlands prevent the kind of massive floods that can ruin homes and infrastructure. Wetlands also play a key role in improving water quality by acting as natural filtration systems. They trap pollutants, such as nutrients and heavy metals, that would otherwise contaminate rivers and lakes. This helps maintain cleaner water for both wildlife and human consumption. For example, marshes and swamps filter out excess nutrients from agricultural runoff, reducing water pollution. Without wetlands, agricultural chemicals like pesticides and fertilizers would flow unchecked into nearby water systems. This would not only degrade water quality, but also harm aquatic life, making waterways inhospitable for fish and other species. Wetlands also support diverse ecosystems, providing habitat for many different species of plants and animals. They are home to over 40% of all species of plants and animals that live on Earth. Many of these species rely on wetlands for food, shelter, and breeding grounds. In fact, wetlands are particularly important for migratory birds, providing critical stopovers during their long journeys. As they migrate, these birds rely on wetlands to rest, refuel, and find food to continue their journey. Wetlands, therefore, support global biodiversity by providing essential habitats for many species, some of which are endangered. The destruction of wetlands threatens these species, leading to the loss of biodiversity. If wetlands continue to disappear, it could lead to the extinction of species that depend on them. This would also disrupt the balance of ecosystems, leading to long-term consequences for the planet. Wetlands help maintain the Earth's water cycle, ensuring that water is distributed evenly across the landscape. Without wetlands, we would see more extreme droughts in some areas and increased flooding in others. Wetlands play a critical role in mitigating the impacts of climate change by acting as carbon sinks. They absorb and store large amounts of carbon dioxide, helping to reduce the effects of global warming. In fact, wetlands store more carbon per hectare than any other terrestrial ecosystem on Earth. This makes them an important ally in the fight against climate change. As the planet warms, wetlands will become even more essential for mitigating climate-related disasters. But in order to ensure that wetlands continue to serve their crucial functions, we must protect and restore them. Wetland restoration efforts are gaining momentum worldwide, with governments and organizations recognizing their importance. In some areas, like the Mississippi River Delta, large-scale restoration projects are underway to rebuild wetlands. These projects involve planting native vegetation, restoring hydrology, and removing invasive species. Restoration is a complex and time-consuming process, but the benefits are immense. Once restored, wetlands can provide decades of protection against flooding, improve water quality, and support wildlife. In many cases, wetland restoration has proven to be cost-effective, as it reduces the need for expensive flood control infrastructure. In the long run, preserving wetlands saves communities money by preventing flood damage and reducing water treatment costs. However, the restoration of wetlands is not without its challenges. Wetlands are complex ecosystems, and restoring them requires careful planning and collaboration among scientists, policymakers, and local communities. But the results are worth the effort: healthier ecosystems. Wetlands have been an integral part of the Earth's ecosystem for millions of years. They've weathered countless environmental changes, but now they face unprecedented threats from human activity. Urban sprawl, agriculture, and industrial development are among the leading causes of wetland destruction. These human-driven changes have led to a rapid decline in wetland areas, especially in densely populated regions. In some countries, wetlands have been drained to make way for farming, roads, and housing developments. This has led to significant loss of biodiversity, as species dependent on wetlands are forced to find new habitats. The consequences are not limited to wildlife. Human communities suffer as well, especially those living near flood-prone areas. As wetlands disappear, flood risks rise, putting homes, infrastructure, and entire cities at greater risk. In addition to their role in flood control, wetlands also support critical water filtration systems. By removing pollutants from water, wetlands help keep our rivers and lakes clean and healthy. However, when wetlands are destroyed, these natural filtration systems vanish, leading to poorer water quality. Pollutants such as pesticides, fertilizers, and industrial waste flow freely into nearby water bodies, causing harm to both wildlife and humans. The degradation of wetlands is a crisis that demands urgent action from governments, organizations, and communities alike. While it may seem like the damage is irreversible, wetland restoration projects have proven to be effective in many cases. One example is the restoration of the Chesapeake Bay, where wetlands have been rehabilitated to improve water quality and support wildlife. Efforts like these demonstrate that with proper investment and dedication, wetlands can bounce back from damage. But restoration isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It requires a tailored approach that takes local conditions into account. Each wetland has its own unique characteristics, and restoring them requires careful planning and expertise. Whether it's reintroducing native plants, improving hydrology, or removing invasive species, each restoration project is different. The key is to focus on long-term sustainability rather than short-term fixes. Restoring wetlands is not just an environmental benefit, it's an investment in disaster resilience and climate change adaptation. Wetlands help protect against rising sea levels by acting as buffers between land and water. As sea levels rise due to climate change, coastal wetlands are being threatened by erosion and flooding. Without healthy wetlands, coastal areas become more vulnerable to storm surges, erosion, and other climate impacts. Protecting and restoring these ecosystems is critical for safeguarding communities in coastal regions. In addition to their role in flood control and water quality, wetlands are also important for carbon storage. As previously mentioned, wetlands are some of the most efficient carbon sinks on Earth, storing vast amounts of carbon in their soils. This makes wetlands a powerful tool in the fight against climate change. Preserving wetlands helps reduce the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and mitigates global warming. But the benefits of wetlands go beyond just environmental and climate concerns. They also have economic value. Wetlands support local economies by providing resources such as fish, timber, and plants for food, medicine, and construction materials. Ecotourism is another growing industry that thrives in wetland areas, drawing tourists for birdwatching, kayaking, and other recreational activities. Wetlands are also important for agriculture, providing water and nutrients to surrounding fields and crops. Their ability to regulate water flow ensures that crops receive the right amount of moisture at the right time. For farmers, wetlands are an essential part of maintaining healthy and productive agricultural landscapes. In addition to these direct benefits, wetlands provide cultural and spiritual value to many indigenous communities around the world. These communities have long understood the importance of wetlands and have relied on them for sustenance, trade, and rituals. In many cultures, wetlands are seen as sacred places, deeply connected to the well-being of the people and their ancestors. This deep cultural connection highlights the importance of preserving wetlands, not just as natural resources, but as cultural treasures. As we move forward, it's crucial that we respect these traditional knowledge systems and integrate them into modern conservation efforts. Collaborative conservation, which combines scientific research with indigenous knowledge, has shown great promise in wetland restoration projects. By working together, we can create sustainable solutions that benefit both people and the environment. One of the most significant challenges in wetland conservation is the lack of awareness among the general public. The role of wetlands in flood control is not only crucial, but also multifaceted. They are like natural barriers, absorbing and redirecting water in a way that engineered systems cannot replicate. While dams and levees are important, they often come with costly maintenance and environmental drawbacks. In contrast, wetlands provide flood protection at a fraction of the cost and without the negative impacts on the ecosystem. This makes wetland preservation an effective, sustainable alternative to more traditional flood control infrastructure. Furthermore, wetlands are self-sustaining. Once they're restored, they naturally continue to perform their vital functions year after year. This is why wetland conservation isn't just an environmental issue, it's an economic one. By investing in wetland preservation and restoration, we can save money by avoiding costly flood damage and water treatment expenses. On the global stage, this makes wetlands an essential part of climate adaptation strategies. Wetlands provide us with a blueprint for how to address climate change without over-reliance on expensive, high-tech solutions. And yet, despite their clear benefits, wetlands are often undervalued, even though they contribute so much to our well-being. There's a pressing need to change how we view and treat wetlands, not just as waste areas, but as invaluable resources. By fostering a greater appreciation for wetlands, we can build a stronger movement for their protection and restoration. This includes both public and private sectors, with businesses, communities, and governments all playing their part. Restoration programs can bring life back to degraded wetlands, but it requires long-term commitment and collaboration. In many regions, wetland restoration has shown impressive results, restoring biodiversity and improving water quality. In the UK, for example, projects in the Fens and the Humber estuary have successfully rehabilitated wetland ecosystems. These projects not only improved the health of the wetlands, but also provided new opportunities for ecotourism and education. Wetland restoration creates jobs, boosts local economies, and offers opportunities for recreation and learning. Educational programs can help raise awareness about the importance of wetlands and how individuals can contribute to their preservation. Involving local communities in wetland restoration efforts ensures that conservation efforts are sustainable and inclusive. Local knowledge and active participation often lead to more effective conservation practices and stronger support for the projects. Collaboration across different levels of society, from grassroots movements to global conservation organizations, is key to the success of wetland conservation. With the right tools, partnerships, and knowledge, we can restore wetlands on a much larger scale. Wetland restoration doesn't just improve the environment, it directly enhances our quality of life. By reducing flood risks, cleaning water, and supporting biodiversity, wetlands provide essential ecosystem services. These services are especially critical as urban areas continue to expand and climate change accelerates. The United Nations recognizes the importance of wetland conservation, which is why they've designated February 2nd as World Wetlands Day. This global event serves as a reminder to take action for the preservation of wetlands worldwide. Every year, it draws attention to the value of wetlands and highlights successful conservation efforts. World Wetlands Day is a great opportunity for individuals and organizations to unite in the fight to protect these vital ecosystems. Public and private sector partnerships have proven to be highly effective in driving conservation efforts forward. For instance, in the Netherlands, the government has teamed up with conservation groups to restore peat bogs and coastal wetlands. These partnerships demonstrate how collective action can lead to impactful, long-lasting change. But the fight for wetland preservation isn't easy. It's an ongoing battle against various threats. From invasive species to urban sprawl, wetlands face constant pressure from human development. Despite this, there's growing momentum around wetland conservation efforts driven by awareness and advocacy. Scientists, activists, and policymakers are collaborating like never before to tackle the complex challenges facing wetlands. The key to success is recognizing that protecting wetlands is not just an environmental issue, it's a multifaceted challenge. Wetlands are part of a broader ecosystem that includes forests, oceans, and rivers. Addressing the threats to wetlands requires comprehensive, integrated policies that protect all parts of the ecosystem. A single approach or solution will not suffice. We need coordinated, multifaceted efforts to safeguard these ecosystems. Additionally, we need to involve communities in these efforts, as they are often the first to experience the effects of Wetlands are often referred to as the lungs of the earth, providing oxygen, storing carbon, and filtering water. They also act as buffers for coastal areas, protecting them from erosion and storm surges. This ability to mitigate climate change and protect coastal areas is one of the many reasons why wetlands are invaluable. With climate change accelerating, the loss of wetlands would further exacerbate the impacts of extreme weather events. Coastal wetlands, in particular, are vulnerable to rising sea levels, but they also help buffer communities against those very threats. As the sea encroaches on land, wetlands absorb the excess water, reducing the risk of flooding. Their role in controlling storm surges and protecting coastal populations cannot be overstated. Yet, despite their undeniable importance, wetlands are often taken for granted, undervalued in policy and practice. This undervaluation leads to wetland degradation, which increases flood risks and damages biodiversity. The solution is clear. We must recognize wetlands for the ecological treasures they are and take steps to protect them. Governments worldwide need to act now to put in place policies that protect and restore wetlands. Policies should include funding for wetland restoration projects, as well as stronger regulations against wetland destruction. International cooperation is also vital to ensuring that wetlands are conserved on a global scale. The Ramsar Convention, which promotes the conservation and wise use of wetlands, is a positive example of international action. By ratifying and adhering to agreements like this, nations can unite to address wetland loss and improve global resilience to flooding and climate change. In addition to international efforts, local and regional strategies are equally important for wetland conservation. Regional governments have the power to manage wetlands in a way that balances human development and environmental protection. Sustainable land use planning is crucial in preventing wetland loss and minimizing human impact. Communities also play a pivotal role in wetland conservation, especially in areas where wetlands provide essential services. Local residents can participate in restoration projects, learn about wetland ecology, and advocate for the protection of these vital ecosystems. The more people understand the value of wetlands, the more they will be motivated to preserve them. With the power of communities and governments working together, we can restore wetlands and prevent further loss. It's also important to incorporate scientific research into conservation efforts to ensure that restoration strategies are effective and based on the best available knowledge. Wetlands are incredibly complex ecosystems, and their restoration requires a deep understanding of their functions and needs. For example, scientists have developed innovative techniques for reintroducing native plant species to degraded wetlands. These plants help stabilize the soil, enhance water filtration, and provide food and shelter for wildlife. Wetland restoration isn't just about replanting, it's about restoring the entire ecosystem, from hydrology to biodiversity. In some cases, restoring the natural water flow to a wetland can lead to dramatic improvements in ecosystem health. One example of this is the restoration of the Kissimmee River in Florida, which had been channelized for flood control. After the river was restored to its natural meanders, wetlands along the riverbanks flourished, improving water quality and flood control. Restoration projects like this demonstrate the potential of wetland rehabilitation to deliver both ecological and economic benefits. By bringing wetlands back to life, we not only protect biodiversity, but also create green spaces for communities to enjoy. These spaces can provide recreational opportunities, improve mental health, and boost local economies through ecotourism. Wetland ecosystems also support agriculture by regulating water flow and preventing soil erosion, enhancing crop productivity. The benefits of wetlands go far beyond just flood control. They are key to the health of entire landscapes and economies. Protecting and restoring wetlands can lead to more resilient communities, thriving wildlife populations, and healthier water systems. But achieving this vision requires all of us to act: governments, communities, businesses, and individuals. We need to prioritize wetland conservation in our policies, daily actions, and conservation funding. By making wetlands a priority, we can ensure that they continue to provide invaluable services for generations to come. This effort begins with recognizing wetlands as vital resources, deserving of protection not only for their beauty, but for their role in sustaining life. Every day we wait, the situation worsens, and wetlands continue to disappear at an alarming rate. The time to take action is now, before we lose more wetlands to destruction and neglect. The value of wetlands can no longer be ignored. Their importance stretches far beyond simple ecosystems. Wetlands are the unsung heroes that quietly maintain the balance of our natural world. In every region, whether urban, rural, or coastal, wetlands provide crucial services that safeguard lives, property, and wildlife. They act as buffers against floods, ensuring that water doesn't flood communities during heavy storms. They absorb carbon, helping mitigate the impacts of climate change by reducing the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. They provide a home to thousands of species, many of which are endangered and reliant on wetlands for survival. And yet, despite these immense benefits, wetlands are disappearing at an alarming rate. As human populations grow and cities expand, wetlands are drained, destroyed, or altered for development. If we continue to lose wetlands at this rate, we'll be left vulnerable to floods, water shortages, and the loss of biodiversity. The effects won't just be felt by wildlife, but by all of us. Humans depend on wetlands for clean water, food, and climate stability. The challenge of preserving wetlands is one of urgency, and we must act now to reverse the damage. But there is hope. Restoration projects are already proving that wetlands can be brought back to life. In areas where wetlands have been restored, communities are experiencing a return of wildlife, better flood protection, and improved water quality. These efforts show that restoration isn't just possible, it's vital for the future of our planet. However, restoration alone isn't enough. We need a global movement to protect wetlands before they disappear completely. This means strengthening laws to protect wetlands from destruction, especially in flood-prone regions and coastal areas. It means investing in restoration efforts that not only rebuild damaged wetlands, but also enhance their ability to prevent floods and improve water quality. Governments, environmental organizations, businesses, and local communities all need to come together to protect these ecosystems. Wetlands don't just benefit the environment, they also contribute to economies through ecotourism, agriculture, and climate resilience. By restoring and preserving wetlands, we create opportunities for future generations to thrive in harmony with nature. Whether it's through education, policy reform, or active participation, everyone can play a role in protecting wetlands. From individuals advocating for better protection of local wetlands to scientists conducting crucial research, every action counts. Even small local efforts can have a big impact on wetland conservation, helping to safeguard water quality and protect wildlife. Restoring wetlands is a long-term commitment, but the rewards are immediate and profound. Healthier ecosystems, safer communities, and a more resilient planet. We need to act with urgency, but also with foresight, ensuring that the wetlands we protect today continue to thrive tomorrow. It's essential that we invest in the future of wetlands, recognizing their value and their essential role in climate adaptation and disaster prevention. Wetlands are not just part of the environment. They are part of our lives, our communities, and our future. It's time to recognize the true value of wetlands, not just as resources to be exploited, but as irreplaceable elements of our global ecosystem. In the face of climate change, increasing floods, and the loss of biodiversity, wetlands are more important than ever. The time to act is now. We can't afford to wait any longer to protect and restore wetlands. With concerted effort, we can restore wetlands to their former glory, and in doing so, protect our homes, our wildlife, and the planet we call home. By safeguarding wetlands, we safeguard the future. Our children and grandchildren will thank us for the efforts we make today. We owe it to future generations to preserve the invaluable benefits wetlands provide: flood control, wildlife habitat, carbon storage, and clean water. Let's unite in the fight to protect wetlands and ensure they remain a vital part of our planet's future. Every action counts. Every voice matters. Together, we can make a difference. The road to wetland protection is not easy, but it is one we must travel, now more than ever. Our commitment today will shape the future of wetlands for generations to come. The task ahead may seem daunting, but with collective effort, it is possible. Let's take the first step together, knowing that the future of wetlands and the future of our planet depends on it.